And this week's news, Florida is officially sick of your shit. 2 people died at the H2OI event in Wildwood, New Jersey. And my R35 GTR finally gets re-wrapped after 7 years with the old wrap. All that and more right after the break. I don't know if you know this, but I actually now have a merch store, and if you haven't checked out the video description below my videos, then you're missing out. Currently, I've got a pack full of movie quote t-shirts, and more styles are being added every month, and new items are in development right now. So have a look, see if there's anything you like, and wear it with pride. The link is in the video description below. Okay, let's jump in. For some time, I've been talking about the epidemic of intersection takeovers and sideshows. As I've been saying, enforcement efforts are ramping up and new legislation has been in the works for quite a while. But on June 9th, down in Florida, state lawmakers unanimously passed House Bill 399, which bans drag racing, burnouts, drifting, stunt driving, and stunt riding on motorcycles and doing wheelies, presumably on motorcycles, I would think, right? But if you didn't know, in certain urban areas and freeways and highways and cities, motorcycle owners and ATV owners congregate, come together as little clubs, groups, and all that kind of stuff, and go out and do stunt riding on the highways and city streets. It's basically a rolling stunt show. People participating in any of these activities now under the new rules are going to have some serious consequences, and nobody's going to like it. What are the consequences? I used to ride myself, you know. I actually had a CBR 600 F3, then a 600 F4, and then a Suzuki GSX-R 750. But I didn't run with those crowds. It just wasn't my jam. I saved all that stuff for the track. The passing of HB 399 now means much stiffer penalties for sideshows and stunt drivers, and no matter what you're driving or riding, you are going to be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law, including passengers. That's right, it's specifically called out in 399. Spectators, especially those who are filming these activities and specifically sharing those video clips on social media. Those people will also be charged for aiding and abetting. Here's how it's a breakdown. The first offense is a misdemeanor, and you'll pay a fine of up to $1,000, and you're probably $2,000 worth of attorney's fees. Then you probably have your driver's license revoked for 1 year, and your car impounded for 30 days at $40 per day for storage, just before hanging out with the wrong crowd. Mom, can you drive me my work? Your car got impounded. Second offense within 5 years will get you another misdemeanor charge and a fine up to $3,000 plus more attorney fees, and of course your car insurance is going to triple. If you have a second offense within 5 years, you'll get another misdemeanor charge and a fine up to $3,000. But they're not going to impound your car this time. What they're going to do is they're going to permanently seize it as what's called a civil asset forfeiture. Car's gone. You'll never get it back. It will be sold at an auction. And even if you're still making payments on the car, when they seize the car, you are still required to make those payments because you owe that debt. It's your fault you lost it, and the bank wants their money, and they're not going to go after the police. They're coming after you. And if you don't make those payments, debt collectors will be calling you day, night, home, work. Skywriters, they'll be hounding you for years and years and years. And each payment that you miss goes on your credit report. Missed payments will stay on your credit report for about 7 years. And if you think you're paying high interest rates on those Hemi chargers and so forth, you're really screwed. Now look, I was young once, believe it or not. I understand the passion of having fun. I've spoken to a few of my law enforcement friends and so forth. And a big part of the problem is that there's just no more breaks being given to anybody. They think that there's a total disrespect for the safety of the public, and moreover, there's total disrespect for the police. The people are not pulling over, and one of my officer buddies told me this. Basically, rather than pulling over and getting a ticket and then just fighting it out in court, too many people run from the cops. That changes everything. It endangers the public, it endangers the officer, it endangers the rider or the person run away. And let us not forget that running from the cops is a felony. Has always been that way, at least in my lifetime. And being a convicted felon makes your life really, really hard, because you're going to be really hard to get any kind of job that pays you anything more than minimum wage. But I don't know about you, but I'm not about to risk the loss of my expensive car and my future with a felony record just to give some middle schooler good video for his TikTok channel. What are we doing, people? But frankly, I think there's an opportunity to hear me out. I sometimes watch the YouTube channels run by people who are doing and organizing these events and see what's going on. And I'm trying to figure out what is the common denominator and what other things can be done. I think if the leaders of these groups sit down with the city officials and the police representatives, and in some cases, maybe they can come together and find arenas for them to do that. You know, parking lots at stadiums and that kind of thing, or unused city property where events can take place under the supervision of local officials. That might not 100% stop the takeovers completely, but at least people will see that they have an outlet and it's supported by law force and city officials, and then there's no excuse to doing the outlaw stuff. With the ATV motorcycle groups and so forth, those guys need to get smart and start holding paid events at racetracks and sport venues and big parking lots, that kind of stuff. They can do it. I'm looking at these guys, they're getting everything organized and they can do it. Maybe charge admission, get sponsors, run the event as a charity event, a 501c. The staff still gets paid, the expenses all get covered, and they would have that support of local businesses and even law enforcement. And that will take away the excuse for them to go out and do that stuff on the street. Hell, I'd pay to be at one of those events. Look, there's no question that those riders are talented. Why not make money rather than take adverse risk? Get smart, organize, find a venue, and do it. Enough about that. Speaking of lost opportunities, let's talk about WaterFest, now known as H2OI, whatever the I for is. WaterFest started back, I think, around 1995. At the time, VW events catered strictly to the air-cooled segment, the old stuff, right? But the problem was, for those who had water-cooled VWs, they were tired of being treated like red-headed Iranian stepchildren, and in 1995 they finally got their own show and WaterFest was born. By 1997 the Audi owners groups were welcomed into the fold. They've been coming in slowly but surely, and the event had to move a few times, but they did have a 13-year run at a racetrack venue in New Jersey. I don't remember if it was Englishtown or Atco. I think it was Atco, but I'm not sure. But at some point they moved the show to a place called Ocean City, Maryland. I want to say that happened around 2010 or something. But things started to unravel. Over the next few years there were problems as the bad people started to descend on these events. Ocean City soon grew tired of the bad behavior by a small group of disrespectful participants and from other attendees who just blended in the crowd, and they weren't even part of the event, but they were misbehaving anyway. Same thing we get today, right? Burnouts, donuts, revving, pops and bangs tudes. None of those are welcome in a sleepy community, and I don't know why people think they say they have to do that. It's just why? You can't go into somebody's town with 500 cars and make a ton of noise and not expect some repercussions. So that place was a bust, and then basically got kicked out, de facto kicked out, or they just decided to move on because they were just getting hassled too much. Then what they did is they set it up as a cruise, a free cruise. You just drive down to Wildwood, New Jersey, get a hotel, and that's basically the way it is. My understanding is that they just chose that town as a destination for the cruise. I couldn't find any mention of a setup of event areas like where cars would be parked. You know, you pay to get in there, and then you get car show awards and all that kind. It was just kind of a cruise, and so I think that's why the press was calling this event unsanctioned. It also looked like the promoters were just trying to make this a pop-up event promoted on social media, which attempted to blend into the existing and sanctioned Fall Classic Car Show, which was a sanctioned and approved by the city. So that didn't go over well with anyone, especially there were two different crowds, the younger guys and the old guys with the muscle cars. But this year, it really got out of hand. 2 people died when 37-year-old Gerald White, driving a 2004 Infiniti G35 surprise, came flying through an intersection and killed a 34-year-old man and an 18-year-old girl who were just walking across the street in the crosswalk with the right-of-way. Jesus, another Infiniti G35. I swear G35 owners are a freaking plague. If I had one, I would sell it. I would have sold it 3-4 years ago. I have questions. First off, why was a 37-year-old man going to an event like that? Second, why would anyone be drag racing on a city street where people just walking around doing their business, shopping and all that kind of in the middle of a cruise with people all over the place? Those people weren't waiting to film a race. These were people who were just walking around. But one thing for sure, H2OI, WackFest, or whatever they're going to name it next time, they're done here. They're out, gone, baby, gone, history. People are going to, in the other towns are going to know about what happened here. And if by some miracle the event survives, it certainly won't be much more than a cruise to some town where hotels rent rooms by the hour. I think pretty much the whole East Coast had enough of this. So here we are again, another event destroyed by a relatively small group of disrespectful, irresponsible, and reckless individuals. The sad part is that the VW and the Audi world has been growing last dozen or so years, and it's gotten very strong. But let us not forget the offender, Mr. White, who will probably soon be behind bars for a decade or so, was not driving a VW. It wasn't an Audi. But it doesn't matter. The damage is done. The pops and bangs tune, the revving, the two-stepping and spitting fire, all those things that have been going on for the last 10 years, people are done with it. They don't want it. So, can you imagine? There's not a resident in that town who says, oh, I like that when those cars come in there and wake me up in the middle of the night. I like it when those pickup trucks roll coal. I like it when they hit their train homes. That's so much fun. Yeah, let's bring them back next year. So there's enough blame to go around, and I'm not singling out one particular group, but I am particularly singling out the people who are reckless and do this. And what's shocking is the people who want to keep the event should be going up to those cars, the people who are doing that, get them out of the car and have a discussion with them and say, knock it off or get lost. Knock it off or get lost. But honestly, it's sad. The only hope now, I think, is to come up with the money to rent a stadium parking lot, a racetrack parking lot, or a racetrack itself and host the event there. P.S. This message is for the event organizers. When you hold a free event, you invite problems and you invite the riffraff. Back in the Super Street Tour days, which I did many of them, I actually run several on the East Coast, the cruise was free, but getting into the event cost you about $150 for the weekend. That gets rid of the riffraff. People are going to bitch and complain, okay? And those people don't have money. They certainly don't have money to pay for tickets and all that other bullshit. So you're probably doing them a favor. So that's my recommendation after years of experience of doing this. Let's move on. Some of you, if you've been paying attention to my Instagram this week, I posted pictures of my R35 that finally got rewrapped after almost 7 years. You heard that right. That wrap was on that car for 7 years. I bought that car February 14th, Valentine's Day in 2014 as a 2015 model. The car was a deep blue pearl. You can look it up online to see what it looked like. It was too dark for me, but at least it was blue, and I like blue cars. I've been doing blue cars for probably 15 years now. So I took the car to the place called Wrap Labs in the Calabasas area way back then, and they did the bright blue that had been on that car up until 2 weeks ago. They did a great job. I think it was one of the first cars they wrapped, but they nailed it. Finally, but though it was time for a change, I had to be changed. The wrap had held up amazing, but one area in the quarter panel developed a stress crack. So again, it was amazing that it lasted for that long, but it had to go. One of the things I love about that wrap is I clean the wrap with everything. Simple Green, Lemon Pledge, Windex, glass cleaner, furniture polishes. It doesn't. And then finally discovered about 18 months ago a product from Adams Polishes called Matte Wrap Detailer, which I've been using for more than 18 months or so. But 3 weeks ago, I dropped my car off with the good people at 9 Livery on Main Street in Orange, California, and they took on the job. I was supposed to go on vacation, but 2 days before I got on the plane, I contracted COVID, and so I was stuck at home. So Rob was texting me the whole time while I was laying in bed, hacking up a lung. Miserable. And he's sending me pictures as he's pulling the wrap off of the car, and some of the pictures looked like paint was coming off. There's big giant white spots. I was like, that can't be good. So anyway, turns out that the white patches were the adhesive backing layer of the old wrap that clung to hot spots on the hood. And I was like, is that going to come off? And he said very reassuringly, I'm not sure. I didn't see the car until 5 days before it was completely done. By that time, the old wrap was completely off, and he had cleaned the car with alcohol or whatever they used to get that stuff up. And the car's factory paint looked amazing. I wouldn't believe him that he hadn't waxed the car or polished it or anything. And then I picked it up 3 days ago. I had decided to change the color this time to a midnight purple look, right? Much like the older GTRs that offered that similar paint color on certain trim levels. Honestly, the color is still growing on me, and I'm pretty sure I will go back to the bright blue in a year or two, but for right now I'm going to let it grow on me, and maybe I'll get really more attached to it like I did the blue as well. The next step is ceramic coating the wrap, and a full detail by the good people over at Adams Polishes, and then some more. I got some more things up my sleeve coming up anyway. Anyway, thanks for watching, everybody. I'll catch you next time.